of when we think about like giving, like doing public speaking, we're always comparing like our role models for public speaking are like TED Talks or like comedians getting on stage and being able to like, handle hecklers really well. And like we're talking about people who have like hundreds, if not thousands of hours of public speaking experience. Like somebody who is giving a TED Talk has given that talk probably dozens, if not hundreds of times.
And thousands in front of their bathroom mirror.
Absolutely, absolutely. That mirror has seen some things, let me tell you. Um, and so, you know, like
Pause.
we can't yeah. One thing to keep in mind is if you are giving a talk at a small conference, if you're giving it at like, you are in a certain space and you've been invited to give a talk, like for instance, like a DrupalCon or higher ed web or like, various like these niche conferences where it's a lot of like volunteers giving talks in return for like free tickets.
Yeah.
Realize where that bar is. Look at like some of the pre-recorded video talks that these organizations have put on and realize that like people aren't expecting, a TED talk. Um, they're expecting someone to be knowledgeable and to share information and, if at all possible, be engaging. And like
Mhm.
this is by resetting that standard, it makes it a little bit easier to be like, okay, I don't have to have great slides and great jokes and great content. I just have to have great content and an expertise in what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the crux of getting up and speaking in public is that expertise in what you're talking about. That is going to make the difference between you being a nervous wreck and being less of a nervous wreck when you get up to speak in public. If it is something that you can talk about that really easily. Like I can
Yeah.
talk about everything like design under the sun. I can talk about board games. I can talk about tabletop role playing games. I can talk about Star Trek for hours. Like these are all things that I could stand up and give a 1 hour speech on,
Mhm.
without like flinching. But if you start asking me to talk about like taxes and investing, suddenly we get into a place where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to give that talk.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the person. I'm not going to be able to do it. And that being comfortable with the subject matter is what makes a difference and understanding that like your perspective is valuable.
So would you say the 3 things that make for effective public speaking is 1, at bats, getting opportunities, or actually the
Mhm.
pillar of the whole thing, know what you're talking about, right? Be a subject
Yes.
matter expert in something. Don't just go up and speak about something you're probably gonna get a lot of pushback on from the audience if your data is not correct, whatever. So know what you're talking about, number 1,
Mhm.
do some research. Number 2, get at bats, practice, do a ton in front of the
Mhm.
mirror. I mean, I myself have practiced a ton of public speeches in front of my kids, my wife, my family. They've heard it all. So get those practice sessions for yourself. And thirdly, embrace the suck. Embrace that, okay,
Yes.
you're going to get up there. And even if you make everything perfect, you're still probably, hopefully, if you continue to if you have public speaking opportunities over the course of 5 years, I would hope that you look back to your first few 5 years later and just cringe. Be like, didn't know how to read the room back then, didn't know how to riff, right? Like, someone once said to me, if you want to become the best public speaker in the world, get into improv and get into some form of stand up where because when it's already has that pressure to perform and entertain
Yeah.
people, but those are the audiences that are the most willing to tell you in the moment you suck. And developing that thick skin. I mean, I've never done either of those 2. I don't know if you have. I know Todd has on your end,
Well,
but
let's talk about that. So I have not on Depends on your perspective on whether or not this counts as improv, but I 100% believe that the decades that I've been spending playing tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons& and Dragons has absolutely given me, a way to understand the dynamics of groups and expectations of groups. Like, I run a lot of games. I'm the dungeon master more often than I'm not, and I have to like move the spotlight around, and I have to manage and make sure that everybody's happy. Like, is this person too bored? I need to make sure that they're
Yeah,
paying
yeah,
attention, and I have to like. And I'm doing it week after week, like these like 3 or 4 hour sessions where I'm basically entertaining people
yeah,
for hours on end, and it has absolutely given me a skill to understand like how an audience would respond to things. I mean, an audience really is like a larger, like Dungeons and Dragons table,
yeah.
and it makes me realize that, like, yeah, no, it gave me enough hours to enough practices, enough at bats
Mm,
to good public speaking skills, or at least reasonably good public speaking skills. I guess here's the thing: I I have eschewed the public speaking, like, the weirdness around it, the hesitation to do it. Like, I can get up and embarrass myself very easily, so I don't know if I do a good job. I just know that I do a job, and I have fun doing it, so there's
I
that.
do a job, I have fun doing it. It might be terrible, it might be great. That's for you to decide.